Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying-Model-Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk about the nerdy news that you need to know about. It's the only news that matters. It's good news. As you know, here at Good News, we talk about everything from action figures to pro wrestling, comic books, video games, movies, and all points in between, custom creations, cosplay corner, all that good stuff. But the extras are over on Patreon. If you want to support the show, then you can do. You can go to patreon.com/displaying-model-behaviour, toss a couple of bucks my way, and you can watch all of the extra parts of Good News. But right here on the free feed for YouTube, we're going to cover all the toy news of the day. So let's talk about it. First up, McFarlane Toys, we've been busy, very busy. So first of all, we've got Brainiac from Injustice 2. This is just one single standalone promo image, but already you got my attention, McFarlane. I see this guy and I just think, Cosmic Legions, that would fit so perfectly with a Cosmic Legions display. Love this design of Brainiac. Injustice 2, it had some very overly designed costumes, but then also some really cool redesigns, and this was a great reinterpretation of Brainiac, I think, giving him the Doc Ock type tentacles. Does he have those in the comic books? I don't think I've ever read a full Brainiac story, but that was the first time that I've seen him with the extra appendages, was in the video game, and I thought, you know what? It's pretty cool, actually. It works. It's a very creepy angle for the character, and judging by the promo image we've got here, it looks like McFarlane captured him really well, so this one, I'm going to keep my eye on this one. And as I said, McFarlane have been super busy with Wave 2 of their Collector's Edition figures. And man, these look nice, but they also are expensive. They're $29.99, which is... So it's a lot of scratch for, you know, decent looking action figures, but still, it's you know, pretty much $30 for a basic action figure with a card, a stand, and a little card holder. And like, I don't know, man. It's a lot of extra money for what is still essentially a basic action figure. I like what they've done with all three of these, with Hawkman, with Sinestro, and with Firestorm. I was about to say Firelord. It's Firestorm. I think that they've put really good work into these. These look like nice sculpts, really good presentation. I'm just thinking $29.99, $30. It's a lot for just a single figure. And I would say the same for McFarlane. So, talking about McFarlane, I'd say the same for Hasbro with Marvel Legends. $26, that seems to be the basic go-to for a standalone figure. Now you're throwing in the stand for the card, and I'm like, I don't really think that necessarily, you know, justifies the extra money as far as I'm concerned. But then again, you know, I'll be the first to admit I'm just not a big DC fan or a McFarlane fan. Like, looking at these figures, I think that they're decent, but still, there's little things with the proportions and the way that the joints come together, the way they stand, that I'm like, it just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing to me in some way. And it's difficult to put my finger on it. But yeah, I think they're just not quite hitting that sweet spot for me. But the overall package looks good. But again, $30 for a standalone figure. And also, I call out Hasbro when they charge silly prices for a standalone figure with nothing else going for it. So I'm not taking sides here. Remember Sony Spider-Man for $35? Yeah, that was egregious. These, they're not that bad, but still, it's $30 for a standalone figure. Have I said that before? I think I've said that already. So instead, I'll leave it up to you. What do you think about these figures? I just don't want to pay extra money just for a plastic stand for a card that I'm not really going to display. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but at least as far as the designs, the paintwork, and the sculpting are concerned, I think that these are actually definitely the upper echelon of the McFarlane figures. These do look nice. Now, I told you McFarlane have been busy, and they're not slowing down either. We also have a couple more Jokerized Nolan figures. And I've said this before on the live stream. I don't know who these are for, but clearly there are folks out there who want them. McFarlane wouldn't make them if they couldn't then exchange them for money, which is what they clearly do. It's a pretty reasonable business model. So whoever you are out there that wants to buy Jokerized versions of existing characters, more power to you. There's a couple more here, and I got to admit, like, they're kind of cool in a way. Like, I do love how the bright colors really do pop off the shelf. They look luminescent, and there's an appeal to them. But I don't know, they definitely qualify as the action figure for the action figure collector who's got everything. It's like, when you've got everything, what are you going to do? Buy it again, but in Joker colors. And I appreciate that for Marvel Legends, it's like, you've got every action figure, so now what? Buy every action figure Venomized. Or buy every Spider-Man variant. There's the same kind of well that action figure producers go to. I'm not singling out McFarlane. It is just funny to have these constant Jokerized versions of characters. Then also we're going to go across, I'm not going to talk about Sinestro again, because what we do have, which I was very impressed with, are the Batman animated figures. So we've got a Batman animated wave with a Condiment King Build-A-Figure, and these, I gotta say, look great. I really do. First of all, the Bat Cycle. That just looks really nice. There's something about the design style of the animated Batman figures that lend themselves so well to be being made, that was a sentence, kind of, into three-dimensional action figures. The same goes for the NECA Gargoyles or NECA Ninja Turtles. That kind of very basic cartoon design means that you can pretty much perfectly recreate it in three-dimensional action figure form, and it just looks right. It just works. It looks like it's just been taken straight off the page or the TV screen. However, I've got to say, with this Batman, don't like the cell shading. I guess that neither McFarlane nor Hasbro have necessarily really cracked the whole cell shading thing. Because much like the animated X-Men or the animated Spider-Man look like regular action figures with some weird paint splotched on them, I gotta say, I think Batman kind of looks the same as well. It doesn't necessarily look like really clever shading and shadows. It just looks like characters with different little bits of paint kind of put there to give that cell shading effect without something really working. I think that's fair to say. Or at least that's my opinion. However, the Scarecrow, that's the highlight from this wave for me. I really like the look of, what's his name? Is it Ichabod something? Or am I thinking Headless Horseman? Nonetheless, it's Crane. It's something Crane. It's not Ichabod Crane, but it's something Crane. But yeah, the Scarecrow looks genuinely creepy, just like he did in the cartoon. And the fact you get the unmasked head, you get the big scythe as well, I would be tempted to get him just for a Halloween type display. Put him on the shelf next to a couple of pumpkins. That'll look great. And speaking of looking great, Mr. Freeze is another one of those characters who just has such a cool toyetic design. The fishbowl helmet, the little red circular goggles, it looks menacing. It's instantly recognizable as Mr. Freeze, and with this animated kind of design, I think that's just a lot of fun. So again, I've got a lot of time for him, and also I feel like the paint shading doesn't show up so much on him. I think he kind of gets away with it a bit more. And then with Condiment King, totally wacky, utterly ridiculous, but a lot of fun as well. And certainly his facial designs as well, like it looks so cartoony, so exaggerated and over the top, but in a fun way. A very animated looking figure to a very fun looking line. So I gotta say, for hardcore Batman the Animated Series collectors, this is like manna from heaven right here, except for the dubious cell shading. Still not fond of that. And finally for McFarlane. Wow, McFarlane are dominating today's episode. We get the Dark Knights of Steel Batman. And also we get Batman Jim Gordon, or Jim Gordon Batman, whichever one you want to call it. Skinny Batman, basically. I've not read the Batman comics in which Jim Gordon dons the mantle of the Dark Knight, but I kind of respect them for not making him look like a jacked up Jim Gordon. They actually go with a skinny looking Batman, which is just weird to the eyes, but it's a fair representation, I imagine, of what he looked like in the comics. So if you want that very kind of classic, it's not really classic, because how old does something have to be before it's classic? Older than this, I guess. Also, I mean, it says Jim Gordon, but yeah, the unmasked head, I guess it's Jim Gordon, but in order to pass as Batman, I guess he shaves his moustache off, and Jim Gordon without a moustache, that's like J. Jonah Jameson without a moustache. You wouldn't be able to recognize him. So that's an unusual, quirky little Batman redesign type character, but hey, it's McFarlane. You gotta have a Batman in there somewhere, or in this case, two. The Dark Knight, not Dark Knight, but the whatever they call the Knight in Armor Batman. I gotta say, as far as Batman redesigns go, it's actually a pretty badass looking one. So yeah, for the Batman collector who has everything, there's two more for you. Hold the phone. Did I say we were done with McFarlane? Not even close. We are getting a whole playset. Kind of a playset. The interrogation scene with the Joker. This, kind of unusual. I dig it. Going to be available in October for $40. So that's what, $25 for the figure and $15 for a table and chair? Yeah, I mean, not crazy, I guess. Maybe it's crazy. I can't even tell what's crazy anymore. We're all mad, aren't we? But I gotta say, you get two chairs. There you go. I'm sold. Not crazy anymore. And a whole bunch of hands and handcuffs as well. And a mobile phone, I think. So they're throwing in some fun accessories here. I think we are starved. We're starved for 1/12 scale diorama pieces. So just having a table and two chairs, it gives some easy props for action figure photographers who maybe, don't have access to many props because Marvel Legends just refuse to make diorama pieces, and dang it, I'm going to keep beating my fist against the table until we get some top quality Marvel Legends diorama kits. But until then, you could always get yourself a McFarlane one, which granted is going to scale a little bit bigger, but we got to make do with what we got. And as a display piece, even in the box itself, it looks like a nice package that they've got. If you already own a Dark Knight's Batman and Joker, yes, it's kind of surplus to requirements, but if you're a completionist who loves that Nolan trilogy, yeah, it's not a bad box set. The good folks at DLX, which is a company that won me over with their 3-0 Optimus Prime, are doing red and silver Centurion Iron Man from Iron Man 2. And this, yeah, does look good. 1/12 scale, so it would fit in beautifully with your MCU figures. And I'm trying to think, do we have a Marvel Legends version of this suitcase Iron Man? I don't think we do. I could be totally wrong. Lord knows it has happened before. But certainly, even if we've got a Marvel Legend, it don't look like this. I love the way that they've done this costume to really beautifully recreate the way that it folds out from itself. It looks like an accordion, like it's just expanded like a fan, unraveling over his body. It's such a cool design. Works so well. I mean, I like in the MCU how he eventually got the nanotech, because it's great how his suits upgrade throughout the whole saga. But I did love the more mechanical looking ones where you really had to see like how a physical thing could be translated into a suit of armor, and the way that they did the whole briefcase suit in Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 was a flawed movie. I think we can all agree on that. However, that particular scene, that was just so cleverly done. Really great execution. And speaking of great execution, DLX have done that. And you can get the actual briefcase look for it as well. That's awesome. You want to put that as an accessory for Happy Hogan to carry? Little wonderful DLX Marvel Legends mashup there. So much potential with this. No price yet, but going up for pre-order very soon. Check out Big Bad Toy Store and all the usual places, because it looks very pretty. Fun news for all New York residents. On September 8th, Tamashii Nations are going to be opening their exclusive New York store. This is kind of cool. We got a couple of little preview pictures, and it's going to be your one-stop shop for all Tamashii Nations figures, and they do make some very pretty action figures. Plus, you're going to be able to get figures that are exclusive to this store. So, hey, if you're in New York, it would behoove you to go and check this out. You owe it to yourself, quite frankly. You owe it to action figure collectors who aren't lucky enough to be in New York, because I can't help but think that they're going to have some really cool stuff in here. Figure arts, they do everything from Star Wars to Marvel to anime, all points in between. And this is going to have some decent looking things here. So yeah, check out, if you Google Tamashii Nations New York, or you go to Toy Arc, where I'm getting these pictures from, you can get all the info. But September 8th, grand opening. Be prepared to grand open your wallet, because you're probably going to find a lot of things you want to buy. Diamond Select have shown their previews for their upcoming figures that are going to release around about November of this year. I'm not going to go over each one individually because, my goodness, they have shown a lot of things. This is all mainly statues as opposed to action figures, but they got a lot to choose from. And there are a couple that really caught my eye, like the Green Goblin, who looks so creepy and sinister. That face that looks like a little bit too human, oof, that's got a weird uncanny valley thing. Then for me, Omega Red is so wonderfully 90s Marvel X-Men. You gotta love that. But yeah, there's kind of something for everyone here, with the minifigures as well, going deep diving into Deadpool's history. Everything from Typhoid Mary to the more modern ninja style costumes. Everyone was going gaga for Marvel Legends Ninja Elektra. Well, you can get the small little minifig version. And then also, as far as action figures go, Crimson Dynamo is a big one that they were showing off. That's gonna scale quite well with your Marvel Legends because they always scale big. Select. They're always more of a 7 or 8 inch kind of scale. So putting Crimson Dynamo with your Marvel Legends, I think that'll work, because he'll still just look like a massive big mech. You want him to look intimidating if he's going up against Iron Man. And these turtle statues as well. I love the slightly grittier, cartoony kind of take on turtles. That's my kind of vibe. So yeah, Select, I was trying to think, who am I talking about here? I still had Tamashii Nations on the brain. They've got a lot of good stuff coming out, so if you like your statues, then yeah, this could be a good sort of end of the year for you. There's a lot of interesting things here. Not that Green Goblin though. He kind of freaks me out. Mezco are dipping their toes back into Ninja Turtles, doing 3.75-inch versions of the Mirage Originals. And this is the 5 points of articulation, more basic type action figure. I mean, hey, they're 3.75 inches. But that also means that they're a lot cheaper as well. So you can get these four for $65. And again, these look fun. Very, very, very basic. But, you know, about $15 a piece, give or take, for each one of the individual turtles. That's not a crazy amount, even though they are very small, granted. But having all four of them together in that really super old school Eastman and Laird Mirage style Ninja Turtles kind of look, of all of them with the red bandanas, before they've even really evolved into the characters that we came to love in the later 80s. These are OG Turtles right here. So as a little standalone box set, $65, maybe you could just treat yourself to some minifigures, because hey, they come with their weapons, a whole bunch of hands, and a couple of different faces to change things up a bit as well. That's a fun little set. Just looking at these, they've got the different belts and sashes as well, so you can alternate them, and okay, different legs too. 7 pairs of interchangeable arms and 8 pairs of interchangeable legs. I see, right, so the legs aren't necessarily articulated, they're just in different bent shapes and positions. Well, I guess that lines up with the 5 points of articulation, doesn't it? So that's kind of a cheat. You can still pose them with bent legs, you just swap the legs out entirely. That's a nice little workaround for Mezco. They're like, there's still 5 points of articulation, just with lots of accessories. But yeah, $65 for 4 small turtles. I'm not saying it's a good deal, but it is a deal. You can judge for yourselves. Good Smile are doing a Voltron Modoroid type model kit, and this looks pretty good. I really like the Good Smile Modoroid kits. My Robocop 2 Kane figure is the same deal, and these kits are really easy to put together. If even someone like me can put them together, that means that they're pretty idiot-proof. Trust me, I've tested that theory. And these Voltrons, they're basic, but they're also very bright, colorful, well put together, and once you do assemble the figure, it's 200 millimeters tall, or 20 centimeters tall. So it's a decent size. It's not going to dominate your shelf, but then again, it comes at a reasonable price as well. I think this was retailing for about $65 on Big Bad Toy Store, so not crazy for a really nice kit that you can put together. And then also, what I was really impressed with was that even though it's a kit, it still has really good articulation as well. You can really play about and pose it in different ways. So the fact that all 5 of the individual lion pieces can be taken apart and posed individually, and then they combine without any extra pieces needed, it's all just like what's there. Some nice engineering, man. I gotta say, this looks like a really nice set. I'm not a Voltron person, but I appreciate a good action figure, and this is worth appreciating. Continuing their exquisite basic series, Higher Toys are doing the female Muto creature from the 2014 Godzilla movie? I think it was 2014. Regardless, the Bryan Cranston American Godzilla movie. The Mutos were, yeah, the weird praying mantis-like creatures from that, and now you can pick up the female one who was bigger and more intimidating looking. This is going to be about $51, available in the first quarter of next year. I don't have an exact size, but I'm guessing like, yay big. The size of a large jacket potato, I'm guessing, is what you're going to be looking at here. Until I can find anything else to compare it to, that's what we're going with. I'm starting a new model behavior scale, the potato scale. This, I'm guessing, is going to be a large jacket potato. Am I accurate? Well, maybe we'll find out. Until then, you can at least enjoy the pretty pictures. Tamashii Nations, speaking of Tamashii Nations from earlier, if you go down to their store, you might find some of their One Piece figures, because they're going hard on One Piece right now. First of all, let me read this off. Tamashii Nations SH Figure Arts One Piece Kaido King of the Beasts brackets Man Beast form. This is a pretty spectacular looking piece of action figure right here. I've seen statues of this guy in various stores, and I always thought to myself, man, that would be awesome if it was like an articulated action figure. Well, lo and behold, boom! Are you looking for this? Tamashii Nations are going to give it to you like DMX. And we don't have a price yet or a release date, but I'm going to look real close when this thing lands because, my goodness, big blue monster ogre looking guy. Of course, he won't really fit with like Furei Planet or anything because he's a very animated, anime looking kind of character, but just as a fun, grotesque, I'm guessing villain? I haven't seen One Piece, but he looks pretty villainous. That's going to be quite a shelf filler, so yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out for this. Also, sticking with One Piece, they are doing Netflix characters as well, so we're getting the live-action version of Luffy, and also Pierce Roronoa Zoro. You can tell I just read that off the screen. I don't know these guys, but I do know good-looking action figures. And again, figure arts, it's not surprising. You know the quality to expect with figure arts. They're gonna be good. They're gonna be great quality, fragile, but you got to be careful with them. But if you are, then they'll last you a lifetime type action figures. That's the impression I'm getting from the one Gwen Stacy that I own. But that's good enough for me to extrapolate out across the brand. Again, no price or release date yet, but we got some pretty pictures, and it's enough to make me think, you know what? Maybe I should give this live action Netflix a try. Or live action One Piece a try on Netflix. You knew what I was talking about. If you've been watching this show long enough, you know to interpret my jabberish. There you go. Interpret my jabberish. I'm not going to edit this. Over in statues, Kotobukiya have shown off their Bishoujo Starscream. And I gotta say, as a Kotobukiya Bishoujo Transformers aficionado, this does look kind of good. And I say aficionado, I've got the Optimus Prime and Megatron, so I guess that makes me an enthusiast, if not an expert. But certainly someone who appreciates what they do with this style. Yeah, I think this looks awesome. I was telling myself, look, you got Prime and Megatron, you got the two big lead characters, you don't need any extra ones, you don't need the Bumblebee that's coming out, you don't need the Soundwave that they're inevitably going to do, you don't need Starscream. Oh, maybe I do need Starscream, because this just looks so fun. It looks fun, kitsch, campy, ridiculous, and kind of brilliant. And that's all that I need to appeal to me. So honestly, if I see this out in the wild on my travels in Japan, I could be very tempted to pick her up. Because yeah, having her next to the Megatron and the Optimus Prime, I just got to think, man, I am going to run out of shelf space. That's the worry. But you know what? That's a problem for future Dave. In the meantime, less future Dave might go picking up a Starscream statue because it looks super fun. Speaking of Transformers, Hasbro have shown some very exciting things. Personally for me, Ultra Magnus from the '86 movie. Ultra Magnus was my boy. I love Ultra Magnus. Always been a big fan of the character. I love just the stoic, lawful good type character. And this looks like a lawfully good Transformers action figure. Normally, I don't like my transforming Transformers. I like my ones that just have a cool robot mode. But it looks like they managed to get the best of both worlds with this guy. So, I could be tempted, because I already in my head, I look at this, I can hear the Ultra Magnus dialogue, and yeah, there's a lot to love about this. Damn it, open! Such a good character. He got short shrift in the animated movie, and it looks like he's at least getting his just desserts in action figure form. Then we have, oh gosh, you know what, I've forgotten his name. I just remember him being shot by Megatron at the start. What a fake Transformers fan I am. But then you got Rumble as well, or is it? Yeah, this was Rumble. First we crack the shell, then we crack the nuts inside. That's still the best Transformers movie. And then we've got someone from Rise of the Beasts who I'm not familiar with. But you know what? Those designs, they still look like a messy cutlery drawer. But this, Ultra Magnus, oh, beautiful, beautiful Transformer. Over in Custom Corner, normally I save Custom Corner for the Patreon, but this one I wanted to put on the proper show because I have an in-person Custom Corner right here. Seth, friend of the show, sent me this homemade man thing, and oh my giddy lord. He asked me, he messaged me, he was like, Dave, I've made this man thing. Would you like it? Do you want a little gift for the channel? I was like, holy moly, yes, of course I would. That looks awesome. And then he sends it to me in person, and guess what? It's awesome. So those of you who are eagle-eyed will probably be able to tell that this is on the Swamp Thing body, the McFarlane Swamp Thing body, with a huge amount of paintwork on it, because the McFarlane Swamp Thing, it's a fantastic sculpt, but it could really do with some more paint. And don't worry, because Seth got that covered. Man, this looks BEA beautiful. And then the classic Man-Thing Build-A-Figure head. I mean, that's why he took it upon himself to make this awesome custom, because that Man-Thing Build-A-Figure is very hard to come by, and he don't come cheap. But if you put that head on this body, oh, it works a treat. I always envision Man-Thing as being a little shorter, a bit more squat and stocky, whereas with this McFarlane one, you got the very long legs, the long limbs of Swamp Thing. But when you've got this kind of paintwork and the extra work and sort of sculpting that's going on with this, oh, you just put it all together, and dang it, it's a fantastic Man-Thing. So Seth, dude, thank you so much for sending this to me. I absolutely adore him. Just the more I play around with him, the more I see the work that you've done with the painting and the shading and the way it's all incorporated together. It looks awesome. So man, thank you so much. I'm made up with this. Absolutely smitten. If you want to follow Seth's work and see all the crazy awesome things that he does, then you can do. You can follow him at octo_arts_96 on your social medias. I was just reading that off the screen, but I'm going to put it down there as well. But Seth, dude, thank you so much. This is absolutely awesome. Love him to bits. I don't have enough classic Marvel representation on this shelf, so now we've got this badass Man-Thing. I'm a very happy chappy. This guy, he's the Mutt's nuts. And folks, that does it for action figure news for today. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think about the items covered? Comment below. Let me know. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, well, you can see more. If you go over to patreon.com/displaying-model-behaviour, you can watch the second part of Good News, where we talk about all the other things that are not directly action figure related, like pro wrestling, movies, video games, comic books, and anything else that comes to mind, including Custom Corner and Cosplay Corner. There are two corners. No, there's no shape that only has two corners. I have to come up with a third corner. Then we'll have a triangle, at least. But I digress. Gang, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Coffee, big time coffee.